Hey, everybody. Welcome to tip number 5 out of 52 this year on ways to improve your hotel revenues. As always, I'm here with my friend Philippe Machaz, VP and co-founder of Guestcentric. Hey, Philip, how are you today?
Hi, Jeremiah. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Beautiful day here in San Diego. It's hot, even though it's January, right? So we love it. But that's kind of what we're talking about here today is selling the destination. Usually hotels sell before somebody comes and stays, and that's kind of the natural thing to do. But we're really specifically talking about selling the destination after somebody stayed, welcoming them back. And I'm going to kick it off to you, Philip. Why do you love this approach? What really appeals to you about this style of marketing?
Before we start in the hotel industry, I think generally, I think it's a problem of sales, right? So most of the companies, they invest more in sales than in retention. So you very often see a sales team, but you don't see the retention team. Do you understand? So it's kind of like they are second on the line. And there's a ton of marketing studies that show, and sales studies, business studies that show that retaining, it's actually easier, right? So it's easier to sell a product to someone that already experienced your in this case your hotel, and that's why I really like it, right? Because it brings a new perspective into your sales strategy. Okay, so it's kind of like a new thing. I really like, because the second reason that I really like it. It's because it creates kind of excuse. So it creates kind of like this necessity for you to build and create your story. Okay, so you actually need to try to understand why people like to stay at your place, and try to transform that into a strategy or into your story. Bring that into your story, and when you are doing that, you are kind of like changing the mindset of your organization. Okay, so, and then you can actually use it in different areas, right? So obviously you are pushing, if you are doing, let's say, retention, trying to sell to people that stay at your hotel. Obviously you can use the same arguments and give the same stories to people who never stayed at the hotel. And so you kind of like, the materials kind of like flow vertically in the organization. So I think that's great. I also like the fact, and I think I kind of like insist on this every time, the fact that talking about the destination and the story, okay, of your stay at a specific hotel, it's always a good opportunity to talk about other people, the other suppliers, activities. Do you understand? So it's a very interesting way for you to get in touch with other people who are actually doing the same. So let's say there's an event, whatever. Just an example. I was just doing this strategy. Actually, it's a sales strategy for like trying to bring new people into this hotel in Maine, and I was just tapping into an activity, okay, that happens on that specific event. But why shouldn't I should extend that and be a little bit more creative, get in touch with those people, meet them, exchange marketing materials, exchange pictures, exchange references. There's so many things that we kind of like do it again, right? So what's the point of reinventing the wheel if there's already someone doing it? I don't know. I think that's why I like it.
Because if a family went to that hotel in Maine and had a great time, now they're open to the story, right? That's the demand channel. They've experienced it, but they didn't experience everything.
Sure.
And now you send them a good reason to go for the following season, right? What's it going to be like in spring? That's completely different from winter. So you're kind of building on their experience and opening them up to new possibilities, right?
Sure. I know that obviously the hotel industry, it's a little bit different, okay? But I think that's a challenge, and it's again the way you tell your stories. So if you have a really good story, you can sell it over and over again. And I think that's the point. It's like, okay, focus on your story and try to, it's not just about, oh, I have a great bed. And I ask all the time, like, so what's the unique offer that you have at your hotel? Oh, I don't know. We have a great bed. We have a good location. So they don't know immediately what's their value. Do you understand? And I think that should be even on their mission statements as a company.
So you talked about retention being a part of the marketing department, that's kind of one of their directives in order to make this strategy work. Is that right?
I think that's really something. And as you grow, right? And I'm also running a company here. We really need to care about the clients that give us or decided to go with us. Do you understand? And we need to take care of them. And I think just the fact that if you cultivate this happiness, okay, among your clients, eventually that will kick back, and eventually there will be a good voice. There's going to be a good voice of customer. You understand? So I think it's kind of like everything is connected. So I think, and it's connected with reviews. It's connected with so many things. So just doing a good job at the hotel, following up, using follow-up. So that's a good way to do it. Okay, how can we do it? Follow-up emails. I have a good example of this hotel that I stayed actually on my honeymoon. So internet was kind of like really basic. I stayed at this hotel and they asked me, and this was, I don't know, 20 years ago, almost. And they asked me my address. Obviously, they had my profile. My address was there. And every year since then, they send me a nice card for birthday. Yeah. So I think that's really unique. You understand? And I think now with technology, we can even automate that. You understand? And there's a ton of tools. MailChimp, I don't know. There's a ton of tools that could help you organize that. But I think that's a good implementation. Like, what can we do that could be automatic without consuming any resources? I think that could be a good one.
Right. Well, getting into topics like automation, something to consider when people are doing this is somebody's going to bring up the topic of personalization, right? So this guest enjoyed a martini at the bar, so we should send them something about martinis. That's what somebody's going to say. And I kind of feel that trips up the whole process. That makes it overly complicated.
Sure.
Where things like a postcard is almost better. Right? Exactly.
I think I have something in my mind that I'm thinking about developing for a customer. That it's like let's say 2 days after they stayed with you, you send a survey. Okay, simple survey. Would you recommend as like typical like touch very basic type of survey? And then you can always ask, can you give us a day and I don't know, a date of a specific event of your life, so we can kind of like try to show our appreciation. And I don't know, maybe you could do like different selections, and they say, oh, this is my birthday, and then you can automatically send something to them that I don't know, let's say you put, oh, my birthday, it's March the 2nd. So it very quickly you can just send something specific with even an offer, right? So you can automatically create a booking engine for repeated guests.
Yeah,
that will have like 25% off on your birthday. I don't know, something like that.
Well, simple services like send out cards. You can send a card, and you can program it to send it on a specific date. You can also send things like brownies. So you could say when you sent out that survey, you could say something like, hey, would you like us to send you brownies on your birthday?
Sure, definitely. So you could be different.
No, right? and then it'll arrive a week ahead of their birthday or something like that. And then that will trigger
I think that would be an amazing whatever thing to implement, but there's costs, right? So obviously it really depends on what you're trying to do. So if you have a database of 2,000 people that stayed in 2000, so you cannot just send 2,000 brownies. But this like this an offer that you can automate and say, okay, on your birthday you have 25% off.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Something like that, that at least you feel that you have something. Do you understand?
Right.
That next time that you come to San Diego, you are not going back to Booking.com or Expedia or TripAdvisor just to check hotels in where you stayed. You remember this hotel that is being sending you. It's like next time that I'm going to Bora Bora, I'm going to the hotel that I spent my honeymoon, because I know, I even know the name because they send me a card every day, even though it was like 20 years ago. Right. I think it's a good example. But obviously, if you repeat this, you have more chances to get it.
Right, but staying with the theme of continuing to sell your story, if you're going to be that detailed, sending somebody something, a special offer on their birthday, then it's not just an offer for the hotel. It's also like, hey, by the way, did you check this out the last time you were here? Sure. Or if you're having your birthday, this is an awesome sunset view that you should check out with your wife and have a glass of wine while you watch the sun sink into the ocean there. Continue telling that story with the offer. I think that's a good 1-2 punch. Sure.
And I think, again, that would be a great opportunity for you to partner with affiliates and local people. Do you understand? That's why, so let's I don't know, like if I visit San Diego, if I visit, let's use Maine to see whale watching, do you understand? So when the whale watching season, if I bought a whale watching package on this hotel, okay, next whaling season, I can say, hey, the whaling season just opened. We have this, and this, and that. And there's like this new boat that has this, whatever. And you can dive with whales. I don't know, something that could be totally off.
That's the simple way to get started, right? People are busy. They can't do all this themselves. The better way to curate content and curate really interesting things that they can add to their story is to ask somebody else to do it, right? Ask that local whale watching tour with sending you something every month.
Obviously. And they have images, they have Instagram. So again, there's so much content going on, right? And I think that could be super easy and a very fun thing to do. And again, that will fuel your story. So it's kind of like, okay, then you could use this also to sell. Do you understand? It's not just focus on that specific thing. You say, oh, I did this great email to people who booked whale watching last year. Oh, maybe I should update my whale watching page.
So it goes around. Yeah, you're right. It goes around, comes around. And in terms of selling your story, we've talked about this a little bit before in terms of OTA cancellation rates. But just recently, I'm seeing a multi-million-dollar push from Booking.com to push ads that say, book with us up to 60% off. That's an insane discount. And I feel that people are just going to, okay, I'll book 4 hotels today because they're pushing me to book now because, there's only 1 room left, and then I'll decide later. And the hotel that doesn't have a story, it gets a cancellation.
Sure.
What's your point of view on that?
I think I think that's one of the biggest problems of the industry nowadays. And I work with many hotels, and it's amazing to see that not at least, but I've worked with hotels that 50% of their Booking.com Booking.com reservations are canceled. So obviously Booking.com, it's one of Booking.com and Expedia, they are one of the bigger producers. But if you think about the number of the number of transactions that are created that would kind of like just they have to throw, you are throwing away reservations, right? And you are kind of like creating also traffic that that it's not going to exist in the future. So you start seeing the reservations coming in from Booking.com and then the cancellations. So when we are doing revenue management, we have to create these graphics that explain what even though Booking.com is kind of like going ahead, eventually they will go down in time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's a really big challenge on the operational side, and
that's because revenue managers, that's tough.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see that even though, because now everything in most of the hotels, everything is done with technology. Many hotels don't have a clue do you understand? They have a clue, but they don't really work the problem. They don't see it as a problem. And obviously it's a problem, right? Because it creates kind of like this weird map of reservations to the future that you know that's not going to happen. And you are kind of like when you assume that you have a reservation on Booking.com, you don't have the leverage to sell that room on your platform, right? On your as a direct booking.
Yeah, you have to go into
maybe it's
selling strategies.
Yeah, and that creates a lot of complexity.
Exactly. Well, let me wrap up. We're at 17-minute mark. So basically, telling your story better is a great strategy for retention, and that way you don't have to pay commissions for people to come back. You don't have to do pay-per-click for them to come back. But also that story then starts to get dispersed throughout your entire marketing sequence, where now you are telling the story before people come, so that in your pre-state emails, etc., so that they're much less likely to cancel on you, which creates a lot of operational and revenue management difficulties. Is that right?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. So I'm totally with you. Let's work in our story.
Yeah, exactly. So easy way to get started: task your local partners, people that your guests might love, going to their businesses, enjoying their businesses. Task them to send you content on a regular basis, so you don't have to curate everything, and then you'll have a constant feed that's interesting, and it's your demand channel. It's the story that you keep expanding, and people loved it the first time, so as they explore more and more, they get more and more attached with you and everything you have to offer.
And I have a great idea. I have a great idea for next webinar. So I'll share next. We are running out of time. So okay. So we'll talk next week.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks for everybody for watching. Send us your questions. You can put them in the chat box right below this video, and you can also reach us at moredirectbooking.com. And Philippe, where can they send you an email if they want some expertise from a third-generation hotelier?
So Philippe at guestcentric.com, and I'm always available to help, and this is a passion that I have. So you can always call me or email me. That I'll be ready for you. Okay.
Well, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, and let's talk soon.
Okay. Bye. Take care.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.